on fucking OBS and Discord. Didn't fucking work. The plan is to eventually get over there, but shit's not working right now. So, apologies for the late start. I'm gonna try to condense the show as much as I can. I definitely want to get these guys on again when my shit's not acting all stupid. But we're gonna jump right into it. You guys see their names on the screen. You know who they are. So I'm gonna skip the intros. Caparzo, um, being head of the TPL stream team. TPL season is obviously starting soon, and I know that you have reached out to a lot of the teams and requested your kind of key matchups each week to stream. Um, with of like the first 3 weeks or so, let's just say week one, what is the matchup that you are most looking forward to, and why did you pick them?
So I think week one, I want to look at something that is going to kind of set the tone for the season for everyone and what the competition is going to be like for season four. With server browser and all the tools that we have now, it's never been easier to like ensure that you have that high level of competition. So it was a pretty clear choice that it was going to be HLLE and Merck round one that I wanted to reach out to. So I reached out, and I think we're going to make it happen, and it's going to be this Sunday at, I believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. British Summer Time. So if you're around, I'll start sending out some links as we get closer to making it all happen, but it's going to be a great match. Dan was just telling me earlier that it's going to be a Saint-Marie Dumont match with Merck playing the Allies and HLE the Axis. So I think that that's a unique map where, for the most part, whatever midpoint it's going to be on, it's going to be a really balanced map. Going into playing all these matches during the post-server browser era, artillery battery, I think it is, right? I've played this game enough, I should probably know. The middle point. Always is a good fight, and it doesn't matter. I've won it on the Allies, I've won it as the Germans. It's just so balanced, and there's so many fun areas to fight over. Watching those two teams are obviously two of the best teams in the whole league and the whole console scene. It's going to be a real match to get excited about. So that was a long answer for the round one. But outside of that, I also wanted to make sure that we showcase each team. So I think round two we were looking at the 8th and the TFMC, I believe I reached out to as well. We wanted to showcase the other side of the bracket being the Atlantic. And we're still in discussions about round three, but plenty of time before we get all the way there. So let's not put the wagon before the horse here.
Yeah. So how did you even become head of the stream team? And is that something that like was a lot more work than what you expected, or is it something that you always enjoy doing?
So obviously, I started by doing the videos, and that's great because you could really like paint the picture of the match and focus on the key moments in a longer format type of content, which I really like putting out there. Put in the maps and everything like that, but there's always been that missing piece of live action. When you're watching an English football or an American football match, a lot of the times you're not watching it on pre-record. You want to watch it live. You want all that excitement hitting you as it happens. So that was obviously a niche that wasn't filled in our community on PC. It obviously is much easier with admin cam. But in the early days, Winners, it was rough. It was really hard. You might remember Tritium, who was one of the originals as well, and Herc and I, we basically put our heads together and figured out that if we were able to get people to stream the matches, then we can capture those streams and then secondarily stream it on again with a delay on top of it to kind of assuage any sort of concerns about stream sniping. So that was something that took a lot of like tinkering to get working, and a lot of people working with us, because I say it a lot during the broadcast, but I really do mean it, that we can't do any of what we do without people saying, yeah, I'll stream. I'll go through the pain in the ass process of you telling me what email account to use, and I put in the code that you tell me that gets emailed to that burner account. It's a lot of work, and but the partnership that we get from the people in the community to make it happen, they make it happen just as much as we do, doing on the back end here. So with admin cam coming, it's going to get a lot easier. I think it's a lot easier conversation to have to say, hey, are you guys okay with doing 49 versus 49 for the game? I don't think anyone really has a big problem with that. I don't think that there's been a lot of pushback against that sort of idea. So when we do get to that point, which hopefully in the next month and a half, I'm hoping,
Yeah.
it's, much easier, because then all I have to worry about is recording my own cast and then broadcasting that out. I don't have to bother anyone else with all the nonsense that we go through. So it's definitely a lot of work, but the team that we have behind us as well, make it happen as well. I did not do it by myself by any means necessary.
Yeah, I mean, even with like, I think we talked about this the last episode, but even going like from 50v50 to 49v49, I really don't think that that's going to cause much of a difference. I don't think it's going to be noticeable at all. I mean, Dan or Crawley, do you guys think any different? Losing one player on each team, is that going to cause any change?
Nah. I think with Summit rules coming in as well, people are going to have to get used to that. So I think going forwards with a 49v49, it gives you the chance to kind of play with your strategy a little bit. You can kind of change your tactics up, especially if you're going to have two people off arty, and then you're going to have a space for an admin cam or something like that. If it's untouchable arty, untouchable nose, do you need that recon team? Could you make a flex squad out of that or something like that? You get ideas to play with, and in terms of 49v49, I think it's something people are just going to have to get used to, because if admin cam comes in, because people want to see the matches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People even if you want to review your own footage after a match, you get the chance to pick your own plan apart in a lot more detail now. So who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
I think there's no real major change for the 49v49. One player, especially with Summit being how hardcore they're going to be with that rule, with the artillery, with the non-change of that. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what people do with their tactics going into being able to unkillable arty. So I reckon after a few first rounds and we have the admin cam, we'll see what other teams are doing in that regard, and be interesting to see how further we go with the competitions, what strats come from that, and I think it'll be really pretty nifty concept to think about.
That's, you guys brought it up. What do you guys think about the Summit rule changes with the unkillable arty, Panther ban, and like indestructible nodes? Like now that we're starting to get closer and closer to TPL and Summit starting, I've been asking this on each episode to just get everyone's opinions on it. I don't know how I feel about it. I think of the unkillable arty, Panther ban, and indestructible nodes. The one I don't like the most is the indestructible nodes, just because I don't know why they had to throw that in there too. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? And that's open for all of you.
I think the reason you would go for unkillable nodes along with untouchable arty is really so you can free up that recon team. Because really, if you're not going, if you see that arty recon loop that we talk about that people fucking hate. Apart from the arty guys, for some reason they'd rather fucking fight a recon team with three of them, try to keep guns up. But if they're not going to be hunting arty, they're just going to be hunting nodes. So why not spare them up, and then your rear defense now, you're going to have to be fucking a lot more switched on than you were before, because now there's a spotter and a sniper coming up fucking from the opposite direction. You've not had to think about for 3 seasons. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I want to throw this question in there too, for you guys. I brought this up last week. Does it also make the commander and defensive squad lead's jobs harder now having an additional recon team back there hunting for your backline Garys?
Yeah, I don't want Endarkment to be free from camping arty. Like I want him annoying someone else. Like, don't leave me alone.
I just think I can see why they've done it personally, but I think you're taking away some aspect of the core value of the game. Like, we've all been there in a comp match where you've been absolutely hounded by artillery, you know how frustrating it is. But that's a part of the reason why we play the comp side of it, is that it's more strategic than regular pub matches you would get. And I feel like we're taking away just like a core mechanic of the game. Like, I feel like even in those little aspects, I can see why they're doing it to make the game more fluid and more balanced for everyone. But that's what I feel, in my opinion, separates the good teams from like the emerging teams coming up. Is that how good they have their artillery on lockdown, how good their recons and spotters can be for everything. So I don't know. I'm the same as you, Winters. I'm on the cusp of it, of like it being good, but at the same time, why are we touching a core mechanic that's been there for so long? I'm happy with the 49v49 change. I'm just like, I think a few players in OCE would feel the same, or do feel the same about the core mechanic being
Mm-hmm.
taken away. But that's open to discussion as well, really.
I think people underestimate that one man unkillable
Yeah,
Artie is going to
hard.
be better than
Yeah.
just free for all, and you can kill the guy, because I
Yeah,
mean the example of Artie from last season being abused is unfortunately the West Bend game.
Mm-hmm.
And if those guys, I mean, the few moments
yeah,
that the teams were able to get the artillery down was the only moments that there was an opportunity for something to happen. If you had one guy back there who could just like go on and on and on and on, he's not going to run out of munitions.
Yeah.
The guys on PC get 300 kills a game. I don't think that that happens on console, even with if
Yeah.
you add up all the RD guys together.
I think one thing I am gonna miss though from the unkillable Artie is seeing the lengths that teams have gone to protect Artie with like stacking trucks on top of
trucks.
each other and shit.
One
I
of
am
the
gonna.
one of the people sitting in front with a recon tank that we came up against on
Yeah.
was it 101A? There was one guy, a single in a recon tank. We had to send to someone with a rocket to get back there and kill it. It was off its head, like
Yeah.
crazy
So
strats, but gone.
so Crawley, I'm gonna shift over to you, and then Dan, I know that there's something pretty specific you want to address, so I'll give you the chance to do that.
I wonder
But-
what it is.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. But
I feel
Crawley,
like that's a bit obvious.
so the sixth has been in. We've talked about this for multiple weeks now. Obviously, we know that Legion is the powerhouse of the United States leagues
Yeah.
right now, and we've asked the question and gotten pretty much the same consensus answer of what teams in the world can compete on the same level as Legion. And we've gotten answers from like HLLE, Merc, Taco, and the Sixth. So you have so many people throughout the global community thinking that the Sixth is on the same level as Legion, and obviously you guys have beaten maybe not Legion as they are now, but you guys have beaten the majority of their players at least once. So would you agree, like humbly, would you agree that you are probably on the same level as Legion? And if so, what do you think about the Sixth gives them the competitive edge, or like what about the Sixth puts them on the same level as Legion?
It's a great question. I think I'll firstly say thank you, because like obviously it's very like nice to hear what your other clans are saying about your own clan as well. Like obviously my origin's coming from Ross to the Six, just to have a bit of a change in a view of everything. But I think the difference of this Six is that we aren't such a massive clan. We only have I can't even tell you the exact numbers of our Discord, but we are a very, very much a tight bunch of lads in there. And when we get into the game, I think what's different to a lot of teams is that we are so like clockwork. We know what we're doing by now. Each map, it's so rinse and repeat. We do it over and over again. And I think our reps of the games we play and how well everyone gets along with each other, especially in our Discord, like there's no real arguments, there's nothing like that. It's just a real sense of mateship, and we go on like that and we played really well. So I think for going forward with the six, it's going to be interesting to see how we go within the two competitions of Summit and TPL to see if we can still field that best 50, and I think we can do so. So hopefully we can give LGN the run for the top spot, and LLE and all these other clans. Like, there's so many other clans that are just like they're on the come up. You know, Ross last season beating, like we beat Legion in that semi-final. Was it quarter? I don't remember.
I don't know how Summit works.
And,
It's
yeah,
rounds.
2 minutes. Yeah, and then you have like obviously the LLE. You have Merc, Taco. Like Taco shooters are insane. So like, and then you have all these dynamics of different clans. But you know, I feel like the six, if we can keep going on that right trajectory, we are up there as like, you know, we can compete with the best clans on the day. And I think that's the best thing for us.
Yeah, I'm just messaging Snow back.
Yeah, Carly, you guys are our powerhouse, and you know, it's I don't feel bad about saying that anyone, you know, is on the same level as anyone else. So, you know, you play who you play, and you know the outcome of those games dictate who you are as a team. So, you know, the victories mean something and the losses mean something. I know, you know, that Robs match, like there was adjustments that were made after that. After every loss, if you're not making those adjustments, then what are you doing? It's easy to just kind of like coast and be like, oh yeah, we won. But it's about winning the right way and about learning from your losses. If you're not doing that, then you're just going to be spinning your wheels.
Yeah. So
100%. It's like when it's got to be a full credit to Balaki and those boys that actually did break away and want to do like their own clan and set it up. They've laid the groundwork, and you can definitely tell that, you know, it's in a right trajectory to hopefully compete in both finals at the end of the season. That's obviously what we're aiming for. We're aiming, like, I think every clan in here or rep wants to win the comps that you're in, and so it's just, yeah, it's really exciting to see.
yeah. So Dan, kind of the same question to you, where it's been a pretty even consensus from the last couple weeks worth of guests that I've had that they put HLLE on the same level as the Sixth and Legion and Taco and stuff. So what about HLLE do you think puts you guys in that, you know, top tier, you know, level of competition?
Yeah. First off, our player base, our recruitment's pretty good. I head up the recruitment over at HLE. I know we kind of joke about poaching, but that's that's a recruitment strategy, boys. All right, there is method behind that. Right, I'll tell you in a minute. But
is it an awkward part to say that I'm now the recruitment head for the Six as well? So
I've seen you guys. I've seen you guys have been putting up a lot of recruitment posts, mate, and listen, power to you, alright, because it's fucking hard going to try to get good players on the door.
Oh,
but
mate,
no,
it is insane.
It's hard. What I do is, in a public forum, I normally target the same like 3 people and tell them I'm going to poach them. What ends up happening there is people see that and they see that we're open for fucking business, right? And then they'll think, you know what? I played with that guy when I was in like fucking a clan fucking last year. I think I'm better than him, and they tend to reach out to us. So a lot of the time our recruitment comes through is people actually reach out to us because all we're doing is putting the fucking name in the window, mate. Yeah. If I spent all day saying, Caparzo, I'm going to fucking poach you to HLE, right? Someone out there will think, you know what? I'm good. I'm as good as him at this. I can do what he does, and I'm looking for a move, and then they normally make contact. So there is method to it, you know.
It's very interesting you say that because in the Oceanic community at the moment, there's been a bit of a divide with so-called poaching, and there's been a very sensitive topic within OCE. So, like, it's really interesting you say that because I want to hear your thoughts on it more because there are some clans in our community that aren't the biggest fans of players leaving or players going to another clan and things like that.
Look, you can't actually poach someone. You can't fucking kidnap someone, right? If someone moves from one clan to another, because they want to move, mate. You know what I mean? You can't see. There's nothing you can sell them in this game other than playing with like-minded players. There's not. You can't sell them fucking. You can't give them anything. So if someone leaves and goes to another clan, it's not fucking personal. But I know I kind of paint myself out to be the big bad poacher of the fucking TPL world, right? And I love it, right? Because again, it's me that gets the DM. So in your community over down under, really, mate. Obviously, there'll be an adjustment period there, but and a culture change, obviously. Fair play if you don't do it. But like this is fucking Moneyball, boys, right? So if, for example, player attrition every single season, every clan gets player attrition. LGN's probably had it recently as well as HLE has it, and fucking Merc and Sick, where some of your best players randomly sometimes just go, you know what? I don't like this game anymore. Space Marines out, Helldivers out. I'm fucking moving on. You now need to replace in your head. You need to look at it on paper and say, right, okay, that's a 500 combat score fucking Clan War SL. I need to replace that with the same fucking numbers. You can't just expect anyone to just step up into that. Sometimes that works, but you need to then go out and fucking get in the pub lobbies and find people like that. And listen, you get out of it what you put into it. You know, if you put the time in, you'll be good. But going back to Winter's question for HLE.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going back to your question, I mean, yeah. So I would say we're up there as well because last season we beat every team we played. Every single team we played last season we beat. We got to the knockout stages and obviously we get beat off 7th. Fair play to them, you know. Fucking West Bend, mate. What are you gonna do, man? Like, you know, mate. I've replayed it in my head so many times, and at the time it fucking hurt because I was like, what fucking chance? What luck have I got here, man? You know what I mean? Not just me, because I'm not the head of HLE. There isn't a head, you know. But I was like, what fucking chance have you got here? But
What's
the
worse
big
is
thing
we played
was
that orientation like 3 days before in a scrim, and
Yeah.
when Foy came up, I'd be like, it was funny. It would be funny if this was West Bend, and then the point, but I was like,
mate. So I'm a defensive squad lead, right? So I was like fucking straight into, like, we knew we weren't going to get midpoint, right? So we committed as much as we could. Weren't going to get it. You guys obviously are fucking 20 metres from it, from the fucking blue line. So we went, right, nice defensive reset. Let's get our shape set up and we'll let the attackers do their thing and eventually we'll fall in and help if we need to. And I remember sitting on point fucking 40 minutes into the game and I was like, I'm just standing here with like 20 odd guys in defensive sector doing nothing. There's no one here. So we start sending bodies forwards and then we start sending more bodies to recon. And I think we managed to shut down the artillery for 4 or 5 minutes. And we sent a fucking armada there to do it, right? Because the boys were defending their guns very well, right? So we sent a lot of defenders there to shut down artillery, and everyone else apart from me and one other guy sat in the hard cap. So we had 6 fucking. So if LGN had a full 6 fucking man OP in our fucking defensive sector, we could then keep it contested so that, because it's maths, so we could still apply pressure. Got the guns down for about 4 or 5 minutes and half capped it, and then the guns came back online and just fucking rolled us out in the woods again. And after that, we lost both our heavies. That was the fuel economy crippled, and it was like, right, fucking need to wait and start again. But building up to that momentum took a long time, and
the anxiety of that moment was just like, that was so well timed by you guys too. Like the 2 heavies came out of the forest at the same time. Like if it wasn't for a hastily created AT gun, you know, it's just the margins are so thin.
It's these. That's the thing, man. It's these kind of. I nearly called it a microplay. It's not a microplay. Defending your artillery is a huge fucking deal, right? But things like that. So like on the Purple Heart Lake game where we beat 7th previously in the season, it was kind of neck and neck. We were 3-2, but we were winning 3-2 with mid, but we didn't quite have enough forward momentum to ever break 7th down in the 4th. But then we had that 2 tank play where the boys kited out at the same time, bang, 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 bang. Lose 2 heavies, we lost 1. Now we've got the fuel economy advantage. So then we put our foot in the gas a little bit, and then that's when we started to make ground. But that was like a fucking hour of fucking red and blue line slaughter. No one's going anywhere, you know. And these little plays is what really throws a game, you know. Especially when you get to this level of people that are that experienced and that there's that much quality in your 50. It's good, mate. Fucking love it, man. I love it. Hate losing, but love the game.
Dan, you brought it up earlier, talking about like Helldivers and Warhammer and stuff coming out. This game is now what, like little over 2 years old, and like what do you think keeps the player base together more? Is it the game and the comp itself, or is it the community?
So I think, honestly, mate, if it wasn't for HLE, I probably would have left the game a while ago.
Mhm.
But HLE obviously is part of a wider community. You know, if we were like an STS where you just kind of do your own thing, and I don't know if I would really enjoy that. But the game itself, like, there isn't really anything like it on console, is there? Nothing really. Like, we've all tried it. We've all tried to step away from the game at some point for a break, and you have like 3-4 days, and you're fucking itching to get to jump in, solo SL1 M1 Grand, and just fucking chill out and just fucking ruin everyone on about you. Like, there's not really anything else like it. So not everyone gets that same.
To it.
No, exactly, mate. Aye, exactly.
There's
And
no
people
World
do
War
fall away
II
from it.
shooter.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely, mate. Especially not on console.
exactly.
So I think a massive part of it though is the community, because you end up talking to people on Discord that you would never, like, fucking. I've got German mates and fucking. Do you know what I mean? Countries from Australia that I'm fucking pals with now that I would never have known existed, mate. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
a massive part of this.
100%.
So, Dan, I'll let you go ahead and address
Well, mate.
what you wanted to. So go ahead.
So I'm a wee bit gutted Snow's not here, mate, because it was the whole Miz Lasso thing. So, and actually, I've realised it's Friday night. I've had a couple of pints, so if I need to slow down talking, just let me know, okay? But basically, this all came about where previously Steve had picked up when he was in HLE. Great guy, love him to bits. Miz was in 3-5 at the time. Anyway, guy fucking loved the game, loved the community, loved the boys. Never quite got rostered. But anyway, so he was actually rostered to play against LGN, and then the game got called off. And then obviously everyone started hounding Francis and fucking LGN guys in TPL chat, which I'm not really a big fan of, to be honest. It's a fucking game. But anyway, I think maybe in a kind of deflection, it kind of just came up at that time or whatever, but we get pulled into a ticket. And I'm not a TPL rep, so I shouldn't be in any tickets, but same with Libby, and when Steve joined HLE and my mate Amir, like, people want to fight guys in HLE, they're going to have to fight me as well. So I'm like, fucking pull me into the ticket, let's go. So all this evidence of him pointing to him on a Cronus. So I've asked him straight up, do you own one? He said, no, I don't. Right, okay, so now I felt a bit ambushed. I've got these guys from LGN saying he's a cheat, telling me they've had this information for a long time. Why do I trust that? And I've got the guy who I've known for a few months, who I quite like, who I trust. I'm like, well, you're all right. So anyway, we get into it, and I get arguing with Francis, and Francis had said something along the lines of, well, you should be thanking me because I could have used this information when we played during the season and held on to it, that you've got a cheater in your ranks. And I was like, well, hold on a fucking minute, like, the credibility of this is, where the fuck is this going? Long story short, fuck all that shit. I do quite like Francis, by the way. This isn't a fuck Francis, fucking straight up, by the way. He's alright. He is alright. Yeah. We all get caught up in the shite of the fucking Discord, by the way, right? I'm guilty of it myself, so. But I went to Summit and TPL, obviously. The first thing I said to Summit was, look, here's where we're at. Here's the screenshots of the whole thread. What happened with Losso? And they said, look, Losso was never actually accused of cheating or banned of cheating, but he was a team manager for 8th. So because he was endorsing cheating, he was part of it, so we banned them all because it was an epidemic or whatever, a pandemic. There was hundreds of cunts cheating apparently. So I went, right, okay, they've said there's no proof of him cheating. TPL are now saying he's not a cheat because the evidence doesn't point to it. The guy himself's telling me he doesn't own a device. So I'm like, right, well, we're good. So we close case. And then Miz tells me, oh, I'm going to go and chase down 8th now and get Snow done for cheating and all these other people in 8th. And I said, look, mate, if you're going to do that, you're not going to do that as part of HLE because we've had enough drama over this. So if you want to pursue this, absolutely, but you'll be banned from our clan. You will not be part of our clan and bring this fucking previous clan drama to our front door. No happening, wee man. So anyway, that was put to bed. And we ended up recruiting Phantom from 8th. And then Miz made a big deal about going and fucking rubbing it in Snow's face, which wasn't cool. Leb, funnily enough, messages me to say, you might want to have a word with Miz, he's going to start shit. So I hadn't seen it, and I'd messaged Miz, like, don't fucking do that, mate. You're kind of like, we've got to work with these guys to schedule matches. And then Snow messaged me, and I'm gutted he's not here for it, and he said something along the lines of, you should have got rid of him. I've got more evidence, and now I'm going to drop a nuke on HLE and Miz. And I was like, right. Now, previously, I had a conversation with Snow where I'd asked him, what the fuck, have I got anything else to worry about here? And he said, no. And it turns out I did. So I just took that to Miz and said, what the fuck is this? You fucking lying to me, you cunt, basically. And he immediately just left it. He left the HLE Discord and he blocked me. And I just thought, you know what? I'm assuming he's chasing Snow now. So I just messaged Snow and said, listen, you don't need to open a ticket. I was going to open a ticket about it because you're threatening me. But I'm not going to anymore. Good luck. He's coming for you. Now, I believe that ticket's been rejected because there was some fabricated evidence, so I've heard in there. I don't know the ins and outs. But all of this drama is... We've had a lot to talk about with this. People have had a lot to say on it. And no one's actually spoke to anyone in HLE for our part. So I spoke to Bear Joe about it a little bit. Quite approachable sound guy. I've talked to Wake about it quite a lot. Fucking great guy. The whole thing's just been fucking exhausting. And I think the hardest part for me was that the first thing Miz apparently done when he went into that ticket was say, I own a Cronus. And that just completely fucked. That was a lie, and it just completely made my whole argument to defend him redundant because he had lied to me, and I was actually arguing for someone that owned the device when he told me he didn't. So, you know, I was like, oh, if you want to come at someone from HLE, you'll need to fight me as well. This guy made me look like a fucking dick. I was just like, mate, a fucking video game, man.
To you, but it's also a credit to you. You're sticking up for your boys, like you're sticking up for your clan mates.
Aye.
It's good on
it's
you.
Hard going. Nah, cheers, mate, but it's hard going about, because I had the same thing with Libby, where the whole community was against him, and he's like, and I genuinely trust him. And the good thing about it is when you win, I had it twice with Libby, when you win something like that, for a guy like that, a stand-up guy like that, he'll probably fight tooth and nail for HLE now. That's his, HLE's now his home because everyone in HLE fought for him to clear his name to make sure he's fucking one of us, and we'll always look after him. And you get buy-in when you fucking help your guys like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's what I wanted to address a wee bit, mate. And I'm gutted Snow's not here because I would have loved to ask Snow a couple of fucking questions. All right.
Yeah, well, once I
back.
figure out the whole OBS thing with Discord, I'd love to have you guys back on so we can have that conversation between you two.
Fantastic.
But with the whole like Miz Loso thing, I mean, I guess I'll just bring it up to you because maybe you know anything about it or not. But like, and for you guys in the chat or you guys that watched last week's episode, I think it was with the Wake, when that whole thing first started, I was brought in a ticket by Herc opened the ticket with me in it, and Snow. 2 episodes ago, when this whole thing first started, Snow was drinking and went on a rant about Loso. And he said something that I'm not going to repeat because I don't want to end up in a ticket again. But basically, he said a word that started with F, had a couple A's, or, 1 A, 2 G's, and a T, right? So, after the episode, I get a ticket, and Herc was like, "Hey, Snow said something in your show that someone didn't appreciate," and he was like, "I'm going to be removing the episode from TPL. I'm going to prevent any future episodes from being uploaded to TPL until he reviews it." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, I get it. I don't agree with him saying that, on air." So then I thought that was the end of it. Well, then I can't remember who brought it up to me, but then this whole conspiracy theory about HLLE and everything came from that ticket, that apparently someone from HLLE opened the ticket bitching about what Snow, that word that Snow said. And I was like, okay, well, like, where's the conspiracy? And they're like, well, it actually had nothing to do with what Snow said. It had everything to do with the fact that Snow was on a rant about HLLE and Loso, and HLE was trying to get that video taken down to prevent eyes on it. And I didn't think anything of it until, and like I will admit, like for a second, like I thought, okay, maybe that's true because that episode received 400 less views than all my other ones. So I was like, if that's their goal, it succeeded because all my other videos are getting like 550 to 600 views. That one only has 200. So
if you want, I can just come in here now, mate. No, so on that, there was something on our Discord about that because we're quite an open, quite an accepting group. You know, we really pride ourselves on not being toxic. Every group's got their own fucking drama. We get that, but I've got mates and family that are gay. I know those guys in HLE the same way. So when you hear something like that on something that's supposed to be positive for our community, and I know it's probably a cultural thing. People think they're just like calling someone like "fuck you," you're fucking. You know what I mean? It's not really.
Yeah.
They're not. They don't hate homosexuals, right? But the thing is that if you're saying that and it's making someone fucking pissed off because they've heard it in a derogatory term towards someone they know and like or love, then it's got nothing to do with HLE. It's to do with upholding fucking standards of being a fucking grown man and not being a cunt. That's what it is, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I totally agree. And, you know, I was nothing but cooperative with Herc when he was like, I'm going to take the video down. You know, that shouldn't be said. I was like, you know, I totally agree. But
listen,
then...
but I disagree with that as well because it's not, listen, if you don't need to take it down because of that, right? But just what it shows someone being small-minded and a bit of a fucking idiot to the whole community, right? So at the end of the day, all it really does is kind of brings the podcast down a wee bit. It's not to do with TPL. Mm-hmm. It's nothing really to do with HLE, apart from it probably sounds like someone from HLE raised it because they felt strongly about it. I don't know who. But no, it shouldn't be taken down for that, but absolutely he should be challenged. And it should be left up as fucking shame for him to go, by the way, I've made an ass of this. Sorry, boys, I didn't really mean that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I don't even think this episode is on TPL or like auto uploaded to TPL because like normally the way that it used to be was as soon as I go live, there's a notification that pops up on the Discord. And I know last week's episode didn't, and I don't think this week's episode did either. But, you know, I'll take it on the chin. I mean, I took responsibility for it because, you know, this is my show, and like...
You can't control what people say on your show. Man.
I know, but like even today, like I had to tell you guys in the chat like some of the things that you know you guys were saying. Just chill on that a little bit because I've already gotten one strike from that. And I don't want to end up in another ticket because that was the whole point of the show was like you know Caparzo's already doing the stream for the games. Like, you know, the actual games themselves, and I'm trying to do it to where we can have these face-to-face conversations like this. And, you know, I don't want that to get affected because, you know, I think hopefully it's something that the community likes, and I enjoy doing it.
Good. Listen, the podcast is good, mate, all right? I don't want to get anyone's question your credibility or efforts.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So, going back to you, Caparzo, who do you think...
I'm going to get a phone charger while you boys are talking. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Caparzo, so going into TPL, who do you think Legion's biggest matchup is going to be? Like, is there anyone you guys are looking on the schedule and you're like, oh, fuck, like, we need to either be, like, extra prepared for it or, like, obviously you're going to go into every game confident and everything, but is there one where you're like, you know, this game honestly can go either way? And, like, we need our best 50 there. Like, cancel your fucking plans. We're playing the 6th, for example. We need everybody there.
Right, yeah. So I think you hit the nail on the head. It's probably the 6th for us, this side of the bracket on the Pacific side of things. So 6th was a huge challenge for us last year, or last bracket in Summit. We played a West Veraville match where we were the allies, the famous double coin flip game, double coin flip for faction and server. So we were playing the allies on Australian server. So it was, I don't know if that'll be a thing in the future, but it was a really, really tough game to play a great team on. I mean, our start was as bad as you could ever want a start to be in a finals game. And But that's to take nothing away from how complete of a game the Six played from the very beginning to the very end of the match. Like, the pressure was on the whole time. So that's a team that we look forward to playing. I don't think we play them until round 5, so that's not until like December now. So I think a big important thing, and you also said this, but you don't want to look ahead of any team. You play the games, and anything could happen. You could have a different 50 that show up that game. You could have people on your team that are overlooking it. You could have people in new roles that maybe they're not used to. So I think right now you have to use each one of those maps or matches to prepare for that match that is going to be one where you need all systems go on. But with server browser now, like, I find myself in our server ahead of matches practicing for quite a good deal of time, just getting my lay of the land. Like, if I'm starting on this side of the map, like, where am I, where are my power positions, like where can I expect to see them. I then run it as the other team, like what would my natural inclination be to do in this situation. If I think that this spot is good for a Gary, I mean, we've all played this game 2,000 hours, plus in some scenarios. It's you kind of know where they're going to put it, and if you could find a spot opposite that favors you, you got to use that. And those scouting and those testing is what it's all about. Like, there's no tolerance nowadays for messing up your start anymore. You have every single opportunity to get that down, and you know what the map is going to be. At most, you're practicing 3 different starts, 4 different starts. Like, really not that big of a time spend when you consider how much we already all play this game. Like, play one less pub that you're just going to steamroll and do that for 90 minutes.
Crawley, it's same thing for you. What team do you think is going to give you guys the biggest competition?
The elephant in the room, mate. Probably LGN round 5. We obviously, but like Capardo said, we're not overlooking anyone. I think for us at the 6, I know we have a lot of clans we really want to play as the 6 members, but unfortunately, like the 11th have pulled out. But we're really looking forward to versing the like the old dogs of the TFMC, the original top dogs of them. I know that would be a really good matchup. Interesting side for the OCE community there, but yeah, I think as Caparzo said, it'll be LGN. Like, in that bracket we have there's a few really good teams, including you guys have the 8 Snow, like Berserk. We had a really good battle with them only a few weeks ago in the TFL comp. But yeah, we'll take every match as it comes, and we'll prepare every match for like a different team as we do normally. Not every team runs the same, but that round 5 against LGN will be a cracker.
So one thing I wanted to ask you before I ask Dan that same question is, I think you guys are the only ones that I've seen, but what is it like having Asians in your clan? Like, because I remember watching, it was in the very brief time that I was in the 6th. I was there for probably like a week or 2 after I left the 21st, and I watched the 6th stream against the 8th. I think it was like one of the first weeks of TFL, and the stream switched to Tanker's POV, and they're all speaking like Japanese or Chinese or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, these are the only guys I've ever seen have Asian players. Yeah. And it seems like your armor core is like all, Asia players. So what's it like having those guys, play with you?
So obviously I've come from Ross where it was like mainly Australian, New Zealand, based that there, and I've gone to the 6 where it's definitely a big culture shift, but first and foremost, the Chinyu and Paku, the guys that he's brought over from Japan and China, they are great blokes. They are really nice fellas. And the thing is, they can fucking play. They can play the game. They are unreal. The stuff they do just to be able to get into our games and play and represent them, the Chinyu boys, we have Mage, who's like one of the leaders of the Six, who runs that side of it with also his Chinyu boys, and he gets them ready for game days. And it's quite funny though, because obviously I run flex, and I'm asking for people in my squad, and then I'm hearing Aussies yelling at me, but then I hear a Chinese voice, and he's saying this as well, and I'm like, it was a whoa, wake up call. But their comms are crisp, clear. They know what they're doing, and yeah, they are just. If you see the results on the battlefield, you'll see the CHNU boys, the Chinyu boys. You'll see the combat scores. They are just
So
games.
So how is it with them? Like, how impressive is it for them to go from speaking, their native languages to each other to immediately switching to English when it comes to talking to you guys?
I think that's a hurdle we've overcome now. They were I think a few of them were maybe a bit hesitant coming into a full English speaking squad, and maybe their English not being okay, but now they just know. They know Garrison this, that. They know the lingo of it, so they just come in, do their job, and it's unreal.
I think that's a huge testament to them as well, to overcome that. I guess anxiety of, like you said, like I would not feel well. For one, I don't know any foreign languages. I took 2 years of French in high school and failed miserably both years. But I think that's a huge testament to them to be able to go into, like you said, a full English speaking squad and overcome that uncomfortable feeling of like, am I like, this isn't my first language? Am I going to make myself sound dumb? And it's also a huge testament to you guys to be accepting of them. Like, maybe, they say something wrong, or, their accent is a little hard to understand, but you guys continue to work with them and make them feel welcome.
I think there's been a few misconceptions about the Six and the player call we have in there, but for the weeks and the few months I've been in there, it's honestly the most accepting culture that I've seen so far, with how well they adapt to those Chinyu boys and stuff like that. And it's a massive credit to Paku and Mage over at the Six, because they give these guys to play with, and these guys are really good blokes. Like, they smile and they say hello. They always are so welcoming in that regard. Like, before the matches, obviously with the time constraints, is a bit like we don't get to see them often, but when they turn up, we always are just like, hey boys, how are ya? They're always all nice, and it's pretty awesome to see, like, just the different dialects and stuff like that, and especially when they get angry at each other. It is hilarious. I love it, and they're just switching from all these things. It's awesome, yeah. So it's massive respect to those blokes, and yeah, it's awesome to see.
Yeah. So, Dan, going back to the original question that I asked Caparzo and Crawley, is looking into your first couple weeks of TPL, who do you think is like somebody, like a matchup that you see where you're like, obviously you go into every game confident, but you go into this game and you're like, this game can go either way, and if you guys have plans on this day, you better cancel it because we need, our best 50 there. Who is that team to HLLE?
So, mate, I heard you ask, and I heard Capazzo fucking not say us, mate, which was a bit fucking hurtful, man.
You're not in our bracket. Relax, mate.
Fair enough, mate.
In the playoffs, I'll say HLE first. We'll come back and we'll do this over again.
No worries, mate. No, listen, we've got. Fortunately for us, there's an abundance of good European clans that we tend to be in a bracket with. Like, you think of Merc, Taco. I know WRTB aren't in TPL, but WRTB are still, they're not fucking mugs, man. They're still some great players. Still always give you a good fight. So, in our bracket, straight off the fucking rip, man, Merc beat us fucking pre-TPL. I think I played in that game, there was 43 of us. And Merc were like brand new. And since then, in competitive games, they've not managed to get to there again. Every single time we play them, they get a little bit closer. And I think they know that. But this is why we love to play them. I love playing Merc. Probably my favourite game. No offence to LGN. The LGN is by far the hardest, I would say. 7th. I've not played LGN yet, but 7th was the hardest. But Merc, like, it's because every single time you play them, they get better a little bit. And what we expect them to do, they don't. They fucking do something a little bit different. So where we think, right, okay, last time they fucking get red zone ATs in behind us and they were fucking our tanks before they even got to the front line, they turned their tank engagements into armor v infi. So we fucking really struggled and, really slowed our progress. So we go, right, we'll start escorting tanks, and then they just don't, and they put everything on the front, and we're like, fucking hell, right, we're here now. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they feel like this team is always evolving,
Yeah. So two things from the chat for you, Dan. One, someone asked if you can rotate your camera because you're coming in sideways.
I can't, mate, I'm on charge.
I'll talk to Dan like this, eh? Hey, Dan?
Mate, it's charging, man. I can't fucking move things.
And another thing for you, Dan. Hump in the chat said Merc will be week 1 winners again. Week 1 champs this Sunday. Tune in.
So,
yeah, buddy.
Back-to-back week 1 champs.
Yeah, listen, been there, mate. Listen, Hump's a good guy. And actually, probably someone you should think about getting on the show, because you talk about someone that's got passion for the community and knows the game inside out. He is... At Merck, obviously, there's plenty of great players, right? But he is the fucking... absolutely the brains behind majority of our operations over there. The guy is fucking switched on. So we'll see what happens on Sunday, big man. Hump, but I'll look for you in the fucking battlefield, wee man. All right.
Yeah. So
Hump's a great addition, or a great part of the stream team as well. Like you said, he is the brains. He always has like a spreadsheet for me that's like, all right, here's the win rate on this match historically.
100%.
But if you eliminate like season 1, here's what their win rate is. I was like, all right, dude, you can speak to all this stuff. You know it front and back.
Absolutely.
You're probably better at Excel than Bearju too.
So this part of the show now, we'll get into a lot of the chat. So I know you guys have been active in the chat, but start sending some questions our way. Bearju said it's really interesting to see how many solid EU teams there are compared to North America, especially when you compare the size of each. I would agree to that. I mean, me being humble and everything, I think as far as the North America clans, and I've said this before, I personally think that there's Legion, and then there's a big gap, and then you have a lot of really competitive, like, I wouldn't, like, when I say mid-tier teams, like, I don't think that they are, like, mid-tier. I think that there are some really good teams that are below Legion's level. I mean, coming from a Legion perspective, when you guys are pretty much 5-0ing everyone in like an hour, and that's just because you're toying with them. Coming from the 8th perspective, where like we have some really solid games. I mean, it's no secret we've lost to 5ID and 4AD in TFL, which we don't think we should have lost those games. It was embarrassing on our part. But what I'm getting at is you have teams like 3-5, 8th, Berserk is making a come up again, now taking in the 4AD guys. Those teams are all really competitive amongst each other, and then you have a gap, and then you have Legion. But it seems like the EU, I mean, shit, dude, you guys have HLLE, Merc, Taco that are like all on Legion's level. So I mean, it's crazy to see.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. It's great to have. Obviously, it wasn't always like this. It used to just really be WRTV. I know KRRC were up there as well. Obviously, Capazzo was there at the time when they were essentially up there with like WRTV 7th and KRRC. They were the big dogs. KRRC and WRTB essentially helped with founding of HLE. It was players that came from these clans that were upset about how they were running not getting games that eventually started HLE. But if I remember, mate, see like WRTB, for example, they were light years previously. Season 1, WRTB, light years ahead of everyone else in the EU. Yeah. I would go as far to say that in Season 1, if WRTB stayed together and didn't split, I think they probably would have won the league, won TPL. Now that's if, buts and maybes, but we played them and I've never lost so many gunfights in a game. Like, we just couldn't take ground. I feel like 7th probably had great shooters and could probably go toe-to-toe with WRTB, like man for man, but 7th had the tactics, right? 7th tactics from Season 1 were fucking phenomenal, and it felt like WRTB relied mostly on murderers rather than structure. They'll probably correct me, I'm probably missing something here, but that's the way it felt. We played both teams, 7th, took their time, fucking took us apart every time at their speed. WRTB, it was a fucking onslaught of madness just coming, just repeatedly headbutting you in the face. It was,
WRTB was kind of like EU's like Void team, where like a lot of teams spawned out of
yeah,
WRTB. They were obviously a more competitive version of that. Like in the early days, Void was always a community first, then competitive team. But just in terms of like the players that they had in those early days, I remember playing them when I was in KRC, and like those are the games that you turn up for. And this is like before vote to kick, so you're like burning for 3 hours to get the
Yeah.
blueberries out, and
Yeah.
you're playing offensive, and but it didn't matter because those games were always so hard fought. And I remember like the first time we beat WRTB, it was like, oh my god, like that was
Yeah,
the
it was-
hardest thing I ever did.
That was my first match,
Yeah.
my first ever comp match. I was like this. I think I was low level, just got into the game, and Rum, the leader of Roth, like, oh yeah, we're playing we got your first match. I was like so stoked, and he's like, oh, who are we playing? WRTB. I had no idea who they were. I just
Yeah.
turned up on the day. Yeah, regular game. I never got dropped. Like, bop, 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 and I was
Aye.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy to see like how far these teams have come, because I remember probably the first two competitive clans that really stuck out to me that I heard like the lore of, I guess, was WRTB led by Apache Garrison, and KRC with having the clips I've seen of Easy, like his, early on highlight clips and everything from like 2 fucking years ago when I first joined 21st. I'm like, holy shit, like these guys are really good. Um, but I want to get into another question. Kenna asked this earlier, but I didn't get to it. They asked it again. Do you guys think that server browsers have made the game in general better or worse?
For OCE side, I know there's a few servers up at the moment, and I won't go into the exact details, but for a few of the blokes at the Six, we're banned from a few servers, so it makes it a bit hard to, yeah, it's a long story, but I think it's good in a way. It gives teams dynamics to be able to train without anyone eavesdropping, be able to run routines and do that. But for the regular blueberry, sometimes it's a bit, I don't know. I think you boys will be able to probably go
Well,
with it further.
I think when you look at like Taco server, for example, I don't think I've seen a server run like theirs. Monkey Tennis and Hound Dog and I think Overlord, I think that's his name over there. They tend to manage, they're the admins for their server. So they'll populate at lunchtime every single day, and they'll incentivize people by saying, right, like, we're going to have sweaty games tonight, so we'll give you VIP access for 48 hours if you help us seed at lunchtime. So by the time it comes round to peak time, they've got 100 in their server, they drop everyone below 50 out, and then they start cleansing it. So they're only left with these higher rank levels. I think today someone questioned it. I think it was JPL from LGN, cracking guy. I think he was asking, what he's doing about clearing blueberries for clan members. And Monkey Tennis had put up, well, here's the average level that's in here just now, and it was fucking astronomical. And he was like, and here's the top level, and here's the bottom level, and it was like, right, that's how closely they're managing their server. So you're always going to get sweaty-ish games in there. A high level doesn't mean a great player. We've all seen fucking level 400s that could not win a 1v1. But the problem I think that we're potentially sleepwalking into here is that if every clan has their own server and they're determined to play their own server, you're not going to have sweaty matches because you're going to have Merca in their server fighting blueberries, HLE and ours fighting blueberries, Taco and theirs fighting blueberries, and you just don't have that competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we don't really use our server unless it's like an event that's been set up, or we're playing fucking Merc on Sunday on SNDM, so we're in there fucking practicing strats. Apart from that, we'll just go to Taco's server because we'll fight Taco on their server and keeps us sharp, keeps them sharp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the NA perspective, I mean, I think we do a pretty good job of shout out Dig Bickham and the Merc boys for working to set these up with myself, Bear Jew, and a few others from other clans. But every Thursday we try to have a sweaty mixed event and we try to have it organized with like down to the roster. I know Dan, a lot of your boys show up your NA crew, and those games are usually really pretty solid. We try to keep it as balanced as possible. Sometimes it works out better than others. I think we had a streak of a couple weeks where it was like full 90s, midpoint changing 2 or 3 times. So I definitely see what you're saying, though. It's definitely a problem that I see during North America hours, where you have the KRC server that's like always pretty busy, and then you have, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of other NA servers that are out there. So it's kind of like to Legion's benefit, where we are the only clan that has like an NA server for those late night events. So we default to that.
I've been in a few of them. I was in
Yeah,
there yesterday. It's pretty fun.
I wanna give a shout out to 3-5, and actually I had them on a couple weeks ago, but 34th. We have, seems like every other week we are going against 3-5 in a a sweaty game on Wednesdays, and then we ended up filling in like 20 of our guys because the 34th is a new team. If you guys caught the episode, I think it was like episode 9 or 8, whichever one it was, I had those guys on, and they're trying to get their name out there. And, I mean, they're being pretty aggressive with trying to get these sweaty games lined up. Like, they'll bring their 50, and they'll ask, like, teams like the 8th or 3-5 or whatever to bring, like, 20 and 30 or something, because they're trying to actively practice against, to them, a top-tier team. So huge shout out to them for proactively trying to get better and everything. But kind of like you guys were saying, the 8th server can be dead at times unless it's scheduled events like on Wednesdays or Saturdays when we have our comp games and we win the coin flip to host. But to answer that question, I think it is a huge benefit to the community, especially the comp community, because being able to select your map and everything it's a huge benefit to everybody in general, but it's definitely a huge benefit to people who aren't in your clan's home like time zone. So like, for example, if you have a North America team with EU players in it, you start a game at 9 o'clock at night, it's fucking 3 o'clock in the morning for them, and then you burn for an hour and a half, then it's like 4, and they're like, I can't afford to stay up this fucking late, or I don't want to. So I think it's a huge benefit to the comp community to be able to have the server browser and everything.
I think it's good as well for, like, obviously you see all the names of the servers that they have and the regions that they are, the ping that they are. So if you're a new player and you go to enlist and you want to get involved and you hear about the competitive scene, you want to get involved, you can go onto any of those servers and you can find some guys that you play with, and you might think, all right, I like these boys better than these boys, and that's not to be disrespectful to any of those other clans, but you might just say, I want to run with these guys, I like who they are, I like what they're doing, let's just give it a go with them. And then that's how, obviously, their recruitment thing. I think if you join a lot of clans, like I know for the TFMC one, the Roth server, and maybe the 11th, I haven't been in there quite recently, they have their Discord links there. So, and I think other clans have their Discord link there. So, I think it's pretty cool.
One thing that we've done that I think has been pretty good for the health of the game is, like, we started up a community like Discord server that we have in partnership with our actual Hell Let Loose server, and it's for coaching, really. Like, so if you're newer to the game and you find yourself playing in our
recruits.
Yeah,
I've seen that on Facebook. Yeah,
you just want to make it so that, like, some of these people, they come into these servers and they truly have no idea what they're doing. If you make it the atmosphere of saying, like, hey, you see someone with these tags, like, go up to them, like, ask to join their squad, and ask the stupid questions that you want the answers to. Like, we all know the answers to every single question about Hell Let Loose. There's no such thing as a commander, Gary. The dog's barking doesn't mean you're close to an OP.
It's just news to me, mate. I'm learning now.
But like little things like that to teach these players like what to do, and I bet you they're going to have an experience that they would never get anywhere else when they're in that first squad where everyone's talking and it's like, oh, can you go support now? I'm placing a new OP and everything is just flowing and you're winning these engagements through your teamwork. I mean, that's when I got addicted to this game. Like, and we said it
I
earlier,
think
there's nothing else like it.
I think with the server browser too, it's also opened up different facets for, I know personally for the OCE community. I know we're trying to get, like, the OCE is a bit up and down with clan relations and stuff like that, and it's a bit of a drama hall with events, but I think for everyone in the OCE, we're trying to just meld it over so we can all get along, because at the moment, there is some, like, there is some really good competition in the OCE community. You've got the old dogs, the OGs, you've got the 11th and TFMC, and I know the 11th are going through a pretty rough time, so I hope that they can sort it out and maybe just get on the right track and get back into TPL next year, where they should be. You got TFMC. Then you have Ross, who are the, like, you know, on their day you can beat anyone, and we've seen that with their previous competitors, but with the server browsers, it's also opened up to, like, new clans coming through with TRL, ANZR, who ANZR we actually really work close with at the 6th, and they I know it's going to shock a few, but we had a trader match and they did get one up over us, and you know they're getting there, they're slowly building, and now we've got a breakaway from the 11th SCC, so you'll see, like, with these server browsers, you see more of these guys filtering through and getting to play. So yeah, I think it's pretty good for the OCE side. I just wish that we can put some of the beef and drama behind us and leave it in the past, and I hope that probably gets out to some of those other clans, and let's just move on and play the game instead of sucking on the past.
Dan, got a question for you in the chat. Who is the top poaching target across all of the comp community?
Top
There you
target.
go.
Yeah.
Target.
You're not touching anyone from the 6, I'm telling you that for a fact. Piss off.
I mean, I mean, Pilots is pretty fucking good, mate. That. I don't know, man. In terms of targets, like, fuck, mate. There's so many good players. Like, see, we talk about like Lambda, right? There's someone that can kind of do it all. Yeah. And Darkmint, mate. Guy's a fucking god with a sniper rifle, any kind of rifle. By the way, actually, I seen on TPL that he was in hospital. Hope he's getting better. Have you heard anything from him, Capalzo?
Yeah, we actually heard from him. We were actually pretty concerned about him because we obviously knew he was right in the middle of everything. He's doing well. He was in the hospital one night, but he's good spirits and you know, was quick to make a joke about it. So you know he's doing all right if that's his attitude. But he was actually on today. He dropped like 130 kills. So you know, in case you thought you were gonna get off easy.
I'm gonna jump in real quick, and I can I got to talk to him a little bit more, but I'm like 99.9% certain that he's gonna be on next week's episode.
Good. Oh
So-
yeah, because
He's a beast.
Libby's trying to get him.
Yes.
Libby and
So
is it Pilots maybe?
yeah, I have to confirm with the both of them, and then I think Pilots as well. But
Is that our pilot, 6th pilot?
yeah.
Oh, ha, ha.
Right, these are the guys that are just going to be talking about how easy it is to drop a fucking 120 kill game.
Yes.
Mate.
So I'm pretty sure.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure next week's guests are going to be Pilots, Libby, and Dark.
I'm glad I'm not on that, mate, because fucking you talk about real quality killers, mate. Like, mate, see that? Mate,
Well,
see that
Dan,
type of
if
player?
you're available, you could always come back next week
mate,
too.
See that type of player? All I do is build their garrisons, mate, and let them go to work for it. That's all I do, man.
Oh god, I just have questions about.
so-
Let loose.
Kenna asked another question. Do we think TPL games will be fair in that the server owner can't see the upcoming map and points, or can't select them to get an advantage?
So we talked to our server management team about this, and I think there's a countdown if it's random, and if there's no countdown, then it's set. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So if you have your map rotation set where it's just, you know, Saint-Marie Dumont, there's an icon next to it that kind of looks like a box with an arrow through it. If you click that, it'll force a map rotation, and it'll do a 1 minute countdown with map changing, and that it guarantees randomness. But if you're ever in a situation where you're in a server and it just flips to a loading screen with the map, that means it's not a guarantee because you could make that happen without pre-selecting the points, but it's typically associated with pre-selecting the points.
This is jumping back to that last question, the top poaching target. A lot of people are saying in the chat that Lambda is the best console player.
Raz.
Does
Sorry.
Raz tank though?
They're saying
Raz
best
does.
tank, best squad lead, best infi. Like
He does
Right, okay, well,
everything, which is just like incredible.
That's fair enough. And listen, man, got so much respect and love for the guy, a cracking guy as well. But when it comes to infantry, Raz is the best
gotta-
DLC.
To be honest, I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a player we have at the 6. I don't know if you've ever come across him, the Rig Doctor.
Yeah, great player.
SL Flex, tank, knows the map, is an absolute weapon of the game. And like, I've seen him, like me and him, like I'm not like, I consider myself a good shooter. Like I can drop the kills and I can do the game, but coming against him has honestly frustrated me to the point where I've almost broken a controller. Like, he is like next level.
Aye,
it's
but
different gravy.
I think there's like styles of play as well. So like, see when I compare like when I think of guys that can drop up plus 100 kills in a clan war in our clan, Raz and Libby, for example, right, two very different players. Libby's quite intelligent with how what's his movement. Always plays the hedges, always plays a hard cover, always makes sure whatever's behind him he's blending into. Fucking every now and then he'll miss his shot, but you know what, man, he's fucking good at recovery. Just quick reactions. Raz, you will see Raz before he sees you, and he's fucking Tasmanian deviling through the fucking screen in front of you, and then before you know it, mate, you just get hit. It's
So
it's a
this
totally
is
different play style. It's a lot more aggressive.
This is a pretty hot topic. It seems like in the chat because Leb just said that Raz is the second best shooter on console. You guys want to take a guess? And you guys want to take a guess without looking at the chat. It's not he. So Leb said that Raz is the second best shooter on console. The one that he said is better. It's not in Darkament. Do you guys want to take a guess as to who he named?
Mayor.
No.
I'm looking at the chat. I'm going to recuse myself.
Fucking cheater.
I was looking at the chat the whole time.
Dan, any guess?
Honestly, mate, I don't know, man. I quite like guys like fucking Princeps and fucking like House at fucking Merc, man. They're great shooters. I don't know.
So Leb said Dirty Grunt is the best shooter on console.
Right, so
Legion legend, Dirty Grunt.
So I will say I don't know much. I personally don't know much about Dirty Grunt's shooting, but the clips that he has sent me of his rocket snipes are absolutely insane.
So Dirty Grunt gets overlooked a lot of the time for being an absolute fucking stone cold murderer because they can do snipes as well, right? But Dirty Grunt is. We have a running joke, him and I, and it's that he can only play AT effectively when he's US because he can't shoot a fucking Car 98. And then to prove me, I just push his buttons, so I'm like, fucking prove me wrong, you prick. Like, we're fucking playing Axis against Merc on Sunday. Go out and show me. And he'll just send me a couple of clips and then his scoreboard, and it's like 120 kills, fucking Car 98 only. And I'm like, you can't fight that, man. The guy's got some quality about him, you know what I mean?
Point Break in the chat said that Easy is top 3.
Yeah.
Easy's up there. Easy's great.
He's an OP farmer. He's a dirty OP farmer. But dude, I played games with Easy where, you know, I think I'm going off and I'm like, you know, talking in my squad chat and be like, guys, I'm so cracked right now. Like, I can't be stopped. And then he's just like, how many do you have? I'm like, oh, I'm at like, you know, 89 or something like that, like halfway through the game. And he's just like, oh, I'm at like 165. And I'm like, I don't even know like what I need to do to bridge the gap from like where I am to where someone like that is. It's like they're just playing the game on a different level.
So Bear Jew said that Mini is definitely up there and extremely underrated in the community.
Mini Fiji is so freaking good. I said it during the finals, TPL finals like recap stream that we did, but that dude does everything right when it needs to be done. Like you'll look away and he's engineer building a repair station. He's dropping supplies. He goes back to middle HQ, touch a node to get the supplies in faster. Like everything he does, he has such a great grasp of the game and doesn't get any of his props. But Mini Fiji is so good.
Have you? If we're talking about shooters, have you heard about a shooter from Ross called Kenny Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can fucking play.
So
He can shoot.
so
I like
we had
Loyalty.
this
He's a good player.
we had this conversation in
Loyalty,
the eighth. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago. But what do you guys think is the best weapon in the game? And this is including all factions.
M1 Grand.
See,
T-42 sniper.
Fuck off.
Okay. So let's
broken.
bring it to just Infi. So excluding the snipers, and we'll take the MGs out as well. So no snipers and not the MG.
Boys, I don't know about you, but I've noticed the G43 recently isn't really fucking hitting the way it used to. I
That
don't know why.
was something that we talked about too.
Yeah,
Um,
M1
It's
Grand's still a
I
bit of
think
a hit
the
scan.
recoil pattern of the 43 is just like, I love it. Like to be able to quick fire
Yeah.
and keep it
How about
somewhat
that?
in that little tight pattern, but with like
Yeah.
with the M1 Grand, if you try and quick fire, sometimes you might it whips up too fast. That's why the G43, you can quick fire those first 3 shots.
Aye.
You can keep them on center mass, and even with the second one, probably will hit the top of the head. Beautiful. I think it's the best.
No,
I feel like I agree with you that the G43 doesn't hit as nice sometimes. My knee-jerk reaction is to say G43 is my favorite weapon, but I do find when I'm using the Grand sometimes it's like everything is so sure. Like you
Yeah.
hit someone, they're down, and I mean with the G43 I spam it if I'm in a situation where I just want to make sure I hit it because of the recoil. I can just get 4 shots in less than 2 seconds. But yeah, the Grand is nice. It handles so nice.
Something that you guys haven't brought up, and I'm curious. Point Break said it, and I was already thinking it. What about the SVT from the Russians?
Hang on, I was about to say, because we're not going to see many games where we are the Russians, that is something as running as an SL that I will fucking miss, is that SVT. That
Big
gun.
gun.
Is so clean. Like, the headshot magnet for that is insane.
I have a
love that.
controversial opinion on squad leading guns.
Good.
don't say the British one.
So if you,
No,
Don't say that
say-
fucking
we're
British
not.
one.
We're, as a squad lead in a comp match, at least, I'm using the Tommy gun or the MP40 every single time. And this is something.
Get 'em
that
off. Get 'em
This
off,
is something
boys.
that
Been a
I've
pleasure.
talked about with a lot of people, but
Get 'em off.
off. That's me done.
Dan, I thought
turns
you'd
out
be
this
more
man knows
sympathetic to
nothing.
this. I thought you'd be more sympathetic to this because as someone who's a squad leader and you're facilitating your killers, I want to know that if I'm on the OP and my job is just to make sure that my OP stays where it is so my guys do what they need to do, I feel confident defending it way more with MP40 or Thompson because I could just
I get it.
sit there and, what are you
I
going
get
to
it.
do? And the
I get what you're
Thompson
saying.
is so underrated too. I make the Thompson look like a laser beam.
I like the MP40 better than the Thompson. I find myself more accurate with that MP40, but I also think it's heavily map dependent.
Aye, but I mean, what the fuck? Like, we're talking about best guns in the game here, okay? I mean, 9 times out of fucking 10, a G43 on M1 Grand is beating every SMG, right? Even the STGs, you're having to double tap the STG these days. It still hits like a fucking horse.
Okay,
but the STG
so-
is not really a one shot anymore.
So you bring
You know
up
what
the
I mean?
STG. What do you guys think is a better class? Which I already think I know what your guys' answer to this is going to be, but M1 bazooka or STG satchel?
M1 Bazooka.
M1 bazooka.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be your guys' answer. So I guess what would your second best class be? Because Lane
STG satchel.
Lane named the STG satchel a close second
Mate, the
to
fucking-
the M1 bazooka.
German engineer satchel
German
class is
engineer.
underrated, man. It's a fucking solid class.
Yeah.
40 running around like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Close quarters,
See,
blow
like
shit up, mate. Who doesn't
I think
hate
it's
that?
also
Aye,
preference
buffing your
as well,
combat
like-
score, man. Just dropping mines behind you everywhere you go. Easy. Everyone thinks you're mothering people.
Arctic Potato said in the chat, people are sleeping on the grease gun.
Shut the
Fuck
fuck
off.
up.
Get out. Fuck off. Seriously, I've got that thing.
Riley
Soft pea shooter.
Riley came in with something pretty hot and said that the M1 Grand sights are ass, and that they'll take
Nah.
the G43 all day.
No.
Nah, man, nah.
Riley,
Riley,
I prefer
Riley
G43, but
doubled
not
down.
G43.
So Kenna said, "Yep, the grease gun is slept on," and then Riley doubled down on the comment that the Grand sights are ass and said that the G43 is miles better.
So this is because Riley plays like a fucking rat inside a bush or a fucking window for a whole game of it. I love the guy, great defensive SL man, but if he finds himself in a fucking angle, he's not moving. So you could give him any semi-auto man, the guy's going to make it work. So I'm not surprised he's uncultured enough to not pick them on fucking grand, Riley. What you doing, mate? You're letting us down.
Dude, people in the chat nature just said the grease gun is better than the STG. I don't know if they're trolling.
Listen, mate, Windows, mate, they're taking a piss at you, man. Shut it down. Shut it down, mate.
We played first this week, and I had an absolute tragic clip with the grease gun. It is so horrendous. Like, people send it to me after I posted my perspective, and they're like clipping that piece, and they're like, "This made me rage too."
I shoot shadows with the grease gun. I never hit the target. I shoot silhouettes of them.
It was like the Pulp Fiction bit where they all look behind them and all the bullet holes are just behind them, and they're talking about it's like a miracle.
Every time. I swear, I won't be able to hit him for 200 yards, but 300 meters, I'll hit that random headshot.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Dude, that's funny. So I said Riley was saying that like the grease gun is slept on. Leb said Riley's got to be the worst shooter in LLOs.
Well, actually, you're going to see. Listen, Leb's throwing the gauntlet down a wee bit because you're going to see Leb SLing for this first ever comp match with HLE.
So
he's going to be playing in front. He's going to be playing in front of Riley. So this will be a fucking
this is kind of interesting too. Divinity said he'll take the bar over the STG.
He's taking a piss at you, mate. No one thinks that. He's taking a piss at you, man. This is like saying I'd rather have a jumbo fucking 75 over a fucking 76, mate. I mean,
it's just a glorified medium with a smoke. Yeah,
exactly, mate.
Winters, we're going to be playing the a Russian map though when we play the 8th in a couple weeks.
Who's Russians? Who's Russians?
We are. So
that'll be good fun.
Yeah,
it's on Kharkov, right?
On Kharkov night because we got to add that wrinkle to it as well.
Well, isn't Kharkov only night for TPL?
What?
I don't think anything is technically banned for TPL. Like no, you could play. I mean, if we wanted to play, like
it might be Summit.
We did play Ramagan on.
It's
TPL.
either Summit.
Nightmare.
It's either Summit or I'm completely making this up.
Kharkov Day is banned from Summit. Kharkov Night is playable.
Okay, then that's what it was. For Summit, there's only a night variant for one of those maps.
Yeah, hence why we lost. Well, I think we lost the 21st, the Summit Season 2 on Kharkov Night in the fog, and all 21st did, and credit to them, they played the map. They did Tiger, Panther, and they drove circles around the fucking point, and we were Russians.
If you think back to the glory days of the 21st, the Summit 1 championship, we beat ROFS on Kharkov Night, and it was a 3-2 90-minute hellhole.
Yeah, because I was the one trying to get into the middle of it, but I kept getting shot and headshotted by a Panther tank with a HE round. Bullshit.
We lost that point garrison like 8 times, and then I watched ROFS's stream, and you guys had squad leads hiding inside the point with your watch out. Yeah, with your fucking watch out, waiting for the prompt to come up that you could place an OP down. I'm like, these guys are fucking rats.
Mate, that was kind of the claim to fame for my. Like, obviously, LGN and 7th Capazzo saw it, literally just running in the middle of the point, dropping the watch, getting it out, and then redeploying, getting people through the OP. It was madness. That was like peak. When you didn't know what map it was, I think that was a big aspect of the game. You didn't know what map you were getting. You were just turning up and playing like, oh shit, we're going to have to get AT guns for this. We can't see more than 10 meters ahead of us. It was crazy. Best times.
So, I'll start wrapping it up. I see Dark is in the chat now. We talked about it earlier. Really happy to see that you're okay. Hopefully, I know I saw the flooding that you had after Helene, so hopefully this one didn't, damage you too bad. So really happy to see that you're okay, dude.
I think a big shout out to all that community over there. Like, I know me and Snow had a conversation about some of that thing, and he had a chat with some of the 6 boys. Full credit to you. You guys were playing off hotspots, going through that match against the Six, like I know we got the result at the end of the day, but we did feel like, sorry lads, but like, we do reach out to all the people at the 8th, and wish you all and all the boys on the American side with family, friends, and stuff like that going down in that. Do like send my best wishes and hope
Yeah, I
everything
mean,
works out well.
Caparzo, like, I don't know if you can ever think back on a time, but I don't ever remember the United States in essentially almost the same areas getting hit with major hurricanes in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I had family. My father-in-law lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and they got absolutely destroyed by Helene. And I mean, luckily for us, this Milton didn't hit us, but I mean it rocked Florida pretty hard. But I can't ever remember back-to-back hurricanes, like back-to-back major hurricanes in essentially a 2-week span.
Especially in an area so vulnerable, like right after, there was all the debris on the side of the roads, and with that wind, it just becomes projectiles. It's
Yeah, they couldn't even finish. Didn't even get like halfway through cleaning up Helene,
Right.
and then Milton comes through, which was even stronger than the first one. So,
right.
One thing I don't get is why do you name your hurricanes weird names?
I don't know who names it. I saw a TikTok of this dude who was saying that we need to stop naming these hurricanes some weak ass names. Like we need to call it like Hurricane 9/11 or something because it's gonna destroy your city when it comes through.
Damn.
Yeah. But
So,
what?
did you see that question there?
Which one?
The predictions for the season. That's going to be controversial.
Predictions. My prediction from the season. Honestly, I think it's gonna be between you three. I know, like, I don't even know what the divisions are. I haven't looked yet, so I don't know if one team has it easier going through the division than the other. I know.
Summit hasn't dropped their full draw yet of matches, have they?
I don't think so.
I don't think so because I think
I think
TPL is starting before Summit does. Which is
TPL started, like, we had our Berserk match already last weekend. I think we were one of the first teams.
Well,
out.
we
were the first. The 6th was the first.
Yeah, the 8th. I think Crawley, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the game that we just played this past weekend also counted for week 1 TPL because we didn't want to play you guys back to back.
So that was an option we decided. Our reps and our clan reps through the TPL chat, we made the 8th and the 6th match count for both TFL and TPL, just to make it easier. Because obviously with the teams on the burden of like playing 2 games in one day, we don't need to do that. So I think I'd highly recommend and reach out to other clans unless you do want to play 2 games and you think the result might be different. But anything can happen, I suppose. But you got to go through the process. So I do think if other clans are going to play each other, and you got those matches, just count them from both competitions. Make it easier for everyone.
Yeah.
Works out well.
So going on with the predictions, I think it's going to be between you three. I'm really curious to see how the EU shakes up between HLLE, Merc, and Taco. The EU right now, I think, is comprised of, like, in a condensed region, the best clans. Because you have Legion, who's, a tier above the rest in North America. And I think the 6th is, granted, there's only, ROFS, and TFMC is also a Oceania clan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the 6th is a tier, in my opinion, they're a tier above those two. The Legion is a tier above the North American clans. But that EU, Dan, is fucking packed with some really solid teams.
Yeah, it's good. Again, we're fortunate with that because it means that it doesn't matter what bracket we get. That we play with these people. We play with the boys from Taco and the boys from fucking Merc nearly every single day. So you become quite friendly with them, and then you end up playing against them quite regularly, and it just makes it a little bit tastier. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said before, like we played Taco once, and for some reason they've never really entertained another match after it. I don't know why, but it was 3-2 to us on Purple Heart Lane. Purple Heart Lane, man, HLE fucking home turf for it. Can't win a big match anywhere else. So we played them 3-2. We won. We didn't really play our strongest side, but at the same time, they fucking controlled what they had perfectly. Merck, every single time you play them, they fucking change it up and they get a little bit better. So they keep us on our toes. Like, I think any success we get, a lot of it goes down to the opposition we play. Whereas when we lose, like every time we played seventh and we fucking lost for the first 2 seasons, we get better. We change things. And you'll lose people and then you'll gain people, but the clan has to grow through loss. And I'm telling you, mate, no one's lost enough more big games than us. So I'd like to think this season will be our season, but I've been saying that for fucking 4 seasons now, mate.
So I was told to stop sugarcoating it. So we'll give our predictions and then we'll start wrapping it up. Lane, I'll stop sugarcoating it. I'm gonna make the call right now for TPL. I have to stay biased to my North American boys. I think Legion's gonna end up winning it this year, this season. Caparza, what do you think? And then we'll go Crawley and Dan.
If any of us, that are the 3 left here, if any of us don't say our own clan, I mean, I think they'd be wrong to say that. So I'm going to say Legion. It feels right. If you don't feel like you're going to win, then, you're already lost.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess, that kind of answers it for everyone else.
Well, look, I will say, I think the Six are going to win. I think we got a good enough strategy, good enough players, and good enough camaraderie to go through with it, to go, hopefully, for both competitions. It'll be hard, but I think at the end of the day, you're looking at the members of the 3 clans here. I think, one of us 3 will become winners.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys are all, like, in my opinion, like, looking up clan-wise to you 3, it's like, honestly, if I saw HLLE Legion championship matchup or, any combination of you 3 and your respective clans, I honestly wouldn't be able to make a call of who's going to pull that game out. I think it's map dependent. If you guys get a map that I think it's going to come down to a coin toss on the map and what you guys feel the most comfortable playing. But honestly, if it was a random map and, neither team felt super comfortable with that one, honestly, I don't know if I would be able to make 100%. Like, there's no shot that the other team can win. You guys are all on the same level. It could go either way.
I wish there was like a final destination, like if anyone has played like Smash Brothers, like the final destination map where it's just like the plainest even, like no one could really argue that it's favorable one way or the other. I wish that there was a map that everyone can agree where it's like pretty much a toss up, because I think saying like when you get to a championship type match, like that's gonna be the map that you play and like the midpoint is set for that. I think that adds an interesting dynamic. I mean, at that point, these teams are going to be prepping for these games like crazy. So, let them really, really prep.
I think that's why I quite like the summit layout, because they're essentially kind of nerfing the axis as clear as you can. Because if you look at the axis, SDG is better than the bar and the grease gun. MG42 is better than the 30 cal. G43 M1 Grand. Okay, it's your personal preference really, but engineer classes are better. Double heavies instead of a fucking jumbo 75 and a 76. Like, I don't know why anyone's ever surprised when they hear that no one's ever won TPL without playing as allies, for example. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then you look at some of the map imbalance you do have. Like, you can talk about West Bend as much as you want. Like, on that map, unless it's midpoint, like dead centre of the map, the 2 other points are pretty favourable for Axis. Same with, like, if you look at like Hurtgen with like Scar, like fucking hell, man, allies cross a fucking river.
The Scar is points, like, in my opinion, the Scar is the most Axis favored map and point.
No.
Dan,
probably
say the
not.
line.
No.
Say the line.
Come on, fuck mate. Well, no, listen, we can do the line, but I mean, when we came to having the pre-season friendly and we were banning maps and we had Axis confirmed before the map was picked, there's a reason that LGN reps said we're going to ban Foy because it's unfavourable to fucking allies. We were like that. You fucking kidding me on? We played a match like fucking 4 weeks ago and you said it wasn't fucking unbalanced, you cunt. You know what I mean?
And I'm sure
You know
that
what
would
I
have
mean?
got banned too if we were able to like pick it, but it's just
Well, why? I think with the server browser, that would never have happened, mate. Listen, you can only piss with the cock you've got, mate. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I think we'll probably never see Foy in a competitive match ever again, really, unless
Yeah.
unless you're playing a fucking starter clan and you're trying to give them a fucking chance. Like you're probably never going to see that again in another competitive match. And let's be honest, boys, there's a fucking reason for that. So as much as like going ahead for fucking who's probably going to win, I think you're probably looking at some of the best here. Can't rate Taco or
Absolutely.
Merkloff. Can't rate Taco off. Can't rate Merkloff. Great fucking clans.
Of course, yeah.
Roths as well, man. Like Rom fucking knows what he's doing. My fucking boy royalty, man. I love that cunt. There's some
Funny
fucking
bastard.
excellent groups out there, mate. What a guy! Aye, but it's good when you look at the difference between what competitive Hell Let Loose was in season 1 and even a little bit in season 2. There was only really like a couple of teams that were kind of in it, and now you're looking at what 5, 6 teams where anyone could beat anyone. Really, like this is the best it's been, I would say, in terms of
Absolutely.
competitiveness, and
I think
the
on your day-
standards went right up as
Yeah.
well.
I think on your day, if you're not turning up, you can get rolled by anybody. I think that's what's good at the moment is that you obviously have your high expectations for your set team, but if you don't turn up and something might go wrong, you can get a team that will lock down a meat point 3-2 and you won't be able to touch it. And I think that's what's really enticing about the upcoming season is that anybody can beat anybody.
So to finish up, Lane and I agree. This is no shot to any of my previous guests, but Lane said this is by far the best podcast episode that we've had, and they want Dan to chug a pint before bed.
I've genuinely run it. I mean, boys,
Kenna said that if Dan doesn't chug a pint, then he's a shitbag.
Listen, man. I can't. I'm a shite bag because I've got no baby left, mate. I can't do it.
And Darkament said he wishes he was good at the game. He's still playing behind his 7-Eleven after Milton.
Dark, you had 138 kills on Foy like an hour ago when I was playing with you.
Dark said, I might have to pass the torch on to my nephew, Divinity. The old man is losing his touch.
You can come to us and that, mate. If you're passing the torch, mate, it's not a problem. We'll find a home for you, alright? Don't worry about it, mate.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would be sad to see you go except for the Legion guys.
What, you're poaching and Hell Let Loose? Oh no, let's have a cry.
I know, mate. Oh, no, man. Someone
No, someone wants to go to another clan. What?
Someone make a fucking ticket, man. No one tell better.
Oh, someone get fucking...
Get on better.
Wow.
But...
Someone just said 6 of Spurs, but after we just won Summit. That's interesting.
I think he's talking about the basketball team, the Spurs.
Yeah.
I would
Better
imagine.
be. Well, no, hang on. Oh, yeah, true. Maybe. I just want to say as well, I just seen a few comments saying, this is me personally, about Lads Let Loose. Look, I know what I said probably instigated a few things, but I apologise, and I did everything possible to recover that situation. I've seen a lot of comments about that, and I hope you can see that I'm personally not that bad of a guy when it comes to those types of things. I just made a statement that got taken pretty much too far out of context, and it was both said on bad side. So that's why I said hopefully the Oceanic community can move on past that. And like I said, we see how tight EU is, how tight NA is, and that's where we want to get to. And I hope that that little one statement and that blow up in that community doesn't keep going, because I want to see everyone come together with this community, because we do have a small tight group, and I want to keep it thriving, because I do love this game, and I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we'll go ahead and wrap it up, Dan. I can't even imagine what time it is for you.
It's fucking 4:20, mate. I'm fucking dying here. You know what I mean?
4.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Appreciate everyone in the chat. I think we peaked at like 50 live viewers concurrent, and almost 600 messages in chat.
Wow. Wow.
So huge shout out to you guys for the continued success. Honestly, it's the guests and the people that continue to tune into the show is the reason why I continue to do this. Caparzo, Dan, Crawley, by far the best guests I've had. Wish Snow was here.
Me too.
Truly apologize to each one of you guys and everyone in the chat for the late start. Fucking this OBS move kicked my ass. I thought I was ready for it. It had some technical difficulties, got a late start, but huge shout out to you guys. Huge shout out to you, Dan, for staying up so late. But I really appreciate you guys being here, seriously, and appreciate everyone in the chat for the continued support of the show and everything.
And tune into the TPL stream on Sunday, Merc versus HLE. We'll get
Yeah.
more
I'm going to
promotion
be
up
watching,
ahead of
and I'm
time.
going to
but-
watch.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, hey, Leb, I'm going to watch you fail because you didn't tell me stuff. So I'm going to watch you fail.
They didn't
That's
tell
what
you
I'm there
stuff?
for.
Mate, ask me. I'll tell you
Oh,
everything you want to know about that cunt.
Oh, perfect. He's all right. Nah,
Yeah.
best of luck to all teams
Right.
in the both things. Winders, thanks for having me on, bro. And
Yeah, of course.
Nice to meet Dan and Caparzo.
Aye.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys on again. Appreciate it, boys.
Anytime,
I'd love to.
anytime.
I'd love it.
Cheers,
Anytime.
boys.
Exactly right. Anytime.